Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Ball Watching. A fun week ahead here, Justin, of matches to preview. But it's rivalry week, man, for us. I know it's not MLS wide, but it's rivalry week for us. I look forward to these weeks so much. But how are you, man? Coming off a tough night as well this past weekend. Where's the mentality at? How are you?
I'm doing all right, Jake. I mean, it was definitely a tough one. I was at a wedding, so was streaming on my phone, and then rewatched again earlier today, literally right before this. But it's tough. I will say, been getting a lot of texts from people like, "What is going on? Is it the lineup? Is it the coach? Is it the injuries?" And I do think that it's a little bit of all of it. But at some point, we got to stop making excuses because we're running out of time.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I would agree. Let's cover off on some stuff, Justin, before we get into the meat of the matches we played last week, and then preview for the derby. So injuries obviously have been a key theme to the season. This match, this last one, we just saw Leuven be out for some personal reasons. You got to just feel for Edu. I mean, it sounds like a tough situation. Obviously, he's kind of available and he's not. You really really hope and pray everything's all good with him and his family.
Yeah, that's a tough one, Jake. It's one that we could really use him. And there, I mean, you can't ask anything more of him
Yeah.
than what he is giving. You know that he wants to be out there if he can, and if he can't, it's just heartbreaking for him, and it sucks for us as well. So not much you could really talk about on that one. I just really hope that everything's going all right.
Agreed. Jay Reed returned. We saw him get some minutes here. That was nice to see. Berkey, we're hearing, is going to play on Wednesday, so he's coming back for the derby, which would be awesome. Sounds like Alm is no designation anymore on like the MLS injury report, but he's in full team training, maybe getting some City 2 minutes, and then Durkin, Olaf had mentioned, also could be available on Wednesday as well. So things are getting a little bit better on the injury front, but you're still missing. Uh, Briefly, probably going to be here Morales with the groin issue. Kessler is the one that I think we're all really, really hoping to jump into the bit to get back. And then Toland as well. And then Justin, it happened again. It happened again. Did you see the reports today about Nilsson?
Yeah, I don't get it, Jake. I really don't understand it. I don't know what these guys are doing in practice.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, we don't know. But he was not an injury-prone guy before he came to this club. Anyway, let's talk about Union Omaha for U.S. Open Cup, Justin. We got to do a listener shout out to Chris, who was sitting right in front of us. Walked over, said hi. Shout out to you, Chris. And Justin, starting 11 was a fun one, right? You know, getting some speed and honestly some chaos up top.
Yeah, if you, I'll start in the back first, Jake. We had Luntz, Hebert, Yarrow, and Baumgartel. So I was like, all right, we're pretty much going with the best defensive lineup we have at that sense. And then we started with the new wingers out wide. When you look at Mackay Joyner and Zielinski getting their first MLS starts, in the U.S. Open Cup. So still first starts with the team. Morales and Ostrak in the middle there. Again, not many other options you have there. I would say you could have done something with Watts, but I think that he's been playing so much, they were trying to give him a little bit of a rest. And obviously he was the only player, I believe, that didn't sub into this game, probably more for a legs reason. And then you move up top, Jake, and it was an exciting trio. We even talked about that with Chris, the listener. And having a Betcher, Celio, and Silva trio just seemed like it was going to be pacey. It was going to be a workhorse. It was going to be almost like our old times when you think about us just pressing them and then just going right back at them. And unfortunately, Jake, I just didn't see it in the first half. We had a little bit of a turn on in the second half, but even before the game started, Jake, the stadium was sad. There was less than 6,000 people there. And I mean, I get it. It's a Wednesday. It's rainy on a Wednesday night. We're in poor form. We're playing against a third division team. It's GA seating, but it's the U.S. Open Cup. This is what we were kind of, as a fan base, complaining about last season and not getting, and then we get it. And then I understand tickets were a little bit higher than what people were expecting, and they're more equivalent to Saturday night's game. But I don't really care. If this is something that we truly care about, we need to show out, because guess what? Now we're going to have to go out and play at Minnesota in our next U.S. Open Cup game. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was tough to see the stadium like that. Obviously still a fun atmosphere, but you do wish, and you get so used to seeing it the way that it is, on most every match night still with 22,000. So definitely a different experience for sure. And dude, the game was just also too. It wasn't the highest level stuff, kind of like a janky 11 put together for us. And there were some things I think you learned though. I mean, like I liked Ostrak's game. I think he played pretty solid. Got to see Silva, come to life a little bit. The guy just like glides on the ball, makes it look effortless. So I mean, there's some things here and there, but honestly, like, yeah, game was kind of slow. Took us a little bit to kind of break through, and there were some nervy moments too.
Yeah, I would say the first half was an absolute snooze fest. We were sitting there looking like, how are we only 30 minutes into this? It was slow. There was literally only, I would say, in the first half, there were zero big chances if you go look at FOTMob from either team. And I think we had 3 shots on goal and they had 0. So very slow. However, I would say we ended up having a lot of chances throughout the game. But I mean, we finished a couple. We obviously finished 2 of them. But it felt like whenever they had a chance, I don't know if it was our angle, Jake, but it looked like Lunt was leaning one way and it gets deflected, and we're just waiting to see this thing hit the back of the net. And there was a couple chances where they were just wide open, top of the 18. So even though we had more chances than them, I felt like we could have easily given up 1, maybe 2 in this game, which is not something we should be doing on a team like that. I don't even care if we have more of it like a B+ lineup.
Yeah, and some of the A guys, saw some decently substantial minutes. Wallem came in, obviously Leuven came in. The guy looked really, really rusty. But good to see him come in and get some minutes back. Toy Shirt came in. So we had some minutes, for our guys, but we move on, right? We did the dirty work. We move on. Now you're playing Minnesota twice in Minnesota. Gonna be a tough, tall order.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say just quickly before we move on to this, the Zelensky goal was awesome. That was in the 68th minute, the Hartel free kick. It was kind of like 18-yard box corner extended, whips it in, kind of a low driver, bounces. Everybody's yelling for a handball, bounces out to a poor clearance, and just absolutely one-times it, rips it. Should have probably been saved, I would say, from like an MLS keeper perspective. But if you rewatch it, it had so much dip that ended up bouncing where the keeper's feet was, which I think was, he probably thought it was going to be up here, and then last minute it was down his feet, and he tried to get down and save it with his hands instead of his feet. Unlucky for him there, but a hell of a goal by Zelensky in his first start. And then in the 87th, Toy Shirt just takes his space all the way from half line all the way to about 30 yards out. There's a nice little dish to Klaus. If you watch the defender, Jake, he's absolutely on the top. He actually turns his back to Klaus, and that's just Klaus is drooling. Just cuts it right inside, slots it in far post. And then one thing for if anybody didn't stick around for the end of it as well, 88th minute, Celia does a little dangle on the sidelines. And then you see something we don't see very often. He lumps a long ball into Mackay Joyner, who makes a nice run in behind. Couldn't get the ball down in time. Tries to flick it over the keeper. And if you watch Klaus, he was absolutely livid because he made a lung-busting run, a good 45, 50 yards, and he was wide open. He actually got on his horse. I was surprised with how open he was. And I just didn't see him, but something that he definitely probably got talked to in the locker room about afterwards.
I would imagine. Yeah, there were some moments, right? There were some moments that made it worth being there for, and it was cool to be back in that competition, and excited because we hear higher ups, right? Like Diego during the interview committing to taking this tournament, this trophy, very, very seriously. It's probably one of our only opportunities to win silverware.
Yeah, that's the hard part for us. And you knew that we were going to take it seriously. If you look at the subs, I mean, Morales went down, so Wallem came in. But then also, even at halftime, Leuven came in for Ostrak. Then we had Toy Shirt for Silva in the 63rd. Then we had Klaus for Betcher and Horn for Zelensky in the 74th. This was something that we did not want to play this many of the main team guys, but we were not going to let this one slip out of our fingers, especially coming home. So now, like Jake said, we're on to Minnesota for the next game in the U.S. Open Cup. That'll be on May 21st at 6:30 p.m., and that'll be just directly after the game that we have with Minnesota in Minnesota. So it's back to back up there. I mean, I'm assuming we just stay. I mean, I guess it's not that long. It's probably like a what? And we're not going to drive, but it's probably only like an hour and a half flight. But it's something that I just think that the team, it's going to be a struggle for them because Minnesota is currently sitting second in the West.
Yeah, they look good. They look good. But you're also coming off a good test here too in San Diego, where I mean, again, hopefully, I know you're licking your wounds a little bit, but we were in this game as well. So you want to jump into San Diego here, Justin? Starting 11 for me in this match was Lunt getting the start. People thought Berkey might come back. He was not ready in time. Horn at left wing back. Apparently, I heard him talk about it in some press conference that he likes and prefers that left wing back position versus the left center back position. You saw Baumgartel, Yarrow, Heber line out the back three, and then Watts at the right wing back. Wallem, Ostrak, Klaus,
Hartel, take that out.
No. Yeah, right. Wallem and Ostrak. So Wallem in the midfield in this one, Ostrak, Hartel, Teuscher, then Klaus. So like that offensive trio. No huge shocks here, but I think Ostrak is slowly becoming part of like the core 11 right now.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about when we were talking about the 11 for the Omaha game. It's like, yeah, you kind of really had, when you think about the back three with Loons, and you throw Ostrak in there, we're already at 5 starters kind of typically. And then I would say out of Celio, Betcher, and Silva, one of those are going to probably consistently start as a forward as well. So we had 6 starters starting in that Omaha game. And seeing this lineup, I mean, it was sad to see Lubin not there, and definitely sad to see Berkey not being in it. But even with this team, I feel comfortable. I think this is a solid core group that we have. I would like to have a little bit more depth in the midfield, but returning Horn back to left back, you know how my thoughts on Watts are. So I hate the little triangle of death there that is still going on when you think about Yarrow, Hebert, Watts, and then Ostrak can do what he can there. But honestly, we kind of started hot, and Watts was one of the main reasons of that too.
Yeah, he was. And we're gonna say it, right? When he has his moments, you gotta celebrate it. But before we get there, I will say the start from the team was good. I think they came out high energy, kind of buzzing around, a couple early half chances, like you said from Watts, definitely some from Klaus, and then you kind of felt over maybe the first 25 to 30 minutes. San Diego kind of got their wits back and they began to kind of insert themselves into the game, and that is via possession and just kind of just knocking the ball around, advancing upfield. Nothing too penetrating to show for it though. I mean, they only had one blocked shot, XG event in the entire half, and I'd say that is a half well defended. It's just a shame that we can't maintain like continuity in that form.
Yeah, and I would say even something else to mention before we move into the second half, and you put it on here as well, is Ostrak stepping on the ball, literally stepping on it in the 31st, kind of motioning everybody like, all right, let's calm back down. We're kind of, because it seemed like it got hectic. I mean, there were some good chances that we had, but then it seemed like it was very open in the midfield. There was a lot of dump and run and not a whole lot of play through the midfield. So I think it was good by him to try to slow it down. And then he also tried to get some big switches in there as well, to try to offset that San Diego defense, to try to see what we could find. But I think it was good for him to be able to kind of be that Leuven, if you think about it that way. Like that is one, the position, and two, that is a spot in the team where we see it, and we saw it a ton in the Union Omaha game, but we always continue to swing the ball back and forth, left to right, and we don't usually try to get it up and make line passing passes. And unfortunately, that kind of leads Ostrak to be on the ball more, and I think he did a good job trying to man that.
I did. I thought it was one of his better games, and I'm definitely pro Ostrak, but he's been solid. He has like a Leuven light, but he can step in that deep lying role and really kind of distribute well. So a good performance from him again. Can't say that about the whole team for that second half drop off. It was just after that the bell or the whistle goes and the first half is over. I feel like we become a different team. We take the field again. It feels like there's not much urgency. We're getting a little nervy on the ball. Just I don't know what's going on, but we seem to have this mentality issue getting into the second half because we're vulnerable. It's clear we're very vulnerable.
Right. And I don't know if the locker room thing, when you're like looking around and we're kind of tired and we're like, all right, I can't step off the field because our subs are so depleted right now as well. But I mean, you put it in here. It's becoming a feature with this team. We have that great cross from Horn into Klaus on the 51st. And he does well to get his head on it. I think he does need to do a little bit better because he heads it down so hard that it goes up over the bar. But then after that, we didn't really pour on the pressure until we were down 2-0. And at that point, it's too late. We've talked about that, Jake. And I think we're now again doing this to where when we're giving up goals, we are not scoring and not coming back to get points. And if we go down a goal, it's looking like the end of the game for us. And so San Diego came in to win, and they did it. I would say that for us, more specifically, I have 2 points I wanted to call out that weren't goals, but it just shows again in the lack of communication. In the 55th minute, Dreyer was able to take it from our back left side, if you're looking forward, and he just took it literally from the sideline, almost halfway across our 18, and then ripped a shot as well, curled one right off the post. And then we had one literally 19 minutes later. Chucky does a similar run, just right across the top of the 18. Our back line is not stepping, and our midfield is still too high up. And then he's just finding that gap. That's usually where people are sitting for a layoff. And now people are just dribbling right through it. And luckily, he also missed wide, but it was something to come because they scored 4 minutes later.
Yeah, they were pouring on a little bit more. we didn't help ourselves though either. I mean, Loon played what I kind of thought was a little bit of a hospital pass to Hebert, puts him on his back foot. He goes to the clearance. Silva just trying to do a bit too much on like some sort of flick or something. And instead of holding it up or leaving pressure, they take the loose ball, play it in. Yarrow gets, kind of that hip drop, just done over on the wrong side of the guy, and he has a good finish. Nothing Luke can do about it, and you're down 1-0. And frankly, not much life to say that, hey, we if we even go down, can we score again? You and I knew that we haven't scored a goal like that.
Yeah, and that's the tough part. I mean, it was definitely a hospital ball from Lunt and Kyle Hebert. I actually thought Kyle did fine with it. When you're in that kind of a space, taking a nice touch and then lumping it up, I would like to see, like you said, Xander kind of throw this up there and ultimately bring it down and try to pass out of it. But it was a bad little flick by him, and I think it's something he's going to learn about. And then, unfortunately, I think Yarrow is out of position. He's been reliant on his speed this entire season, and it honestly is starting to catch up with him, no pun intended, but he could not catch up with anybody right now. And then if anybody goes back and looks at the replay as well, I don't know why, but Baumgartel was dropping off at that point as well. So the next one is in the 87th minute. Clearance comes to Yarrow, free of pressure, botches it, settles it to Dreyer, who jumps on it. Luke comes out and can't get to it and then pushes it to Dreyer wide. The defense recovers, but no one gets to the pressure on Dreyer, and Lund, who doesn't seal off the near post entirely. I mean, just again, it's another one of those things where we're just blowing coverage in this, and it's a tough one for us. So anybody that's watching live, if you can see, Jake is not feeling the best, so he is going to drop off. But ultimately, I don't really know how much I have more to talk about that before bringing us into Kansas City. We had some subs. It was good to see Jay Reed again coming in for Horn. Betcher for Klaus. That's probably just more of a legs thing as well. Silva for Ostrak, also trying to make a little bit more of an offensive push there. And then Celio on for Baumgartel in the 84th. That's ultimately just taking out your defender and putting in the most, I would say, exciting player that we have right now, even though we're not seeing a lot of Celio. I would say anytime he gets the ball on his feet, it's something that you're looking forward to. So player of the match, Jake put it in here, so that way I can't always take credit for it, is Akil Watts. The first game where he felt like he was actually a viable right back position and an option for us. And it felt like something that it was actually off the start of the match as well. I didn't think that he had to do too much defensively, but it looked like he did a lot offensively and was able to carry us in that sense. So I thought it was a solid chance for him. He created a chance, his shot on target, 7 passes into the final third, which was most on the team. And he won 9 of his 12 duels, which was also most on the team. So he did get it done a little bit on the defensive end. It was good to see him just kind of know what he needs to do. So as we're making this transition, I'm going to give a quick shout out again to our sponsoring partner, the Hoffman Brothers. We've talked about it over and over again. You guys have seen the swings in this weather. It's going to be like a high of 90, I think, on Thursday. And then it's going to drop back down into the 60s. This is something that is not easy on you or your home. So if you need to, call Hoffman Brothers, 314-664-3011, or visit them at hoffmanbros.com. And if you don't know if you need to call them, that means you need to call them, because that means that you're just leaving something up to chance with your AC and your units in your house, and not something that you should be doing. So I'm going to bring us into the Sporting Kansas City preview. And as we do that, I'm actually going to bring it up. If anybody hasn't already seen it, we reached out to our buddy John Gruden for a little bit of a pep talk for the guys.
Hey, good morning to the St. Louis City Soccer Club. This is your old friend, John Gruden. You guys know how much I love St. Louis, but I'm not only speaking on a personal level. I think I speak for all of St. Louis. The city, the surrounding areas, everybody. And I know you got a big rivalry match with Sporting KC coming up, and that's got me fired up, man. And so far, I know both teams really have been off to a little bit of a slow start. But it's not where you line up. It's where you wind up. And we got to have this one on our home turf. There's no doubt about it. Just know that St. Louis is behind you. The Grud Dog is behind you. And we got to get fired up. I'm an old coach, so I made some notes, you know. And you guys know these things, but it's the fundamentals, man. We got to communicate and do this as a team. And we got to be relentless and pour on the effort and showcase our strain for the entire match. And I challenge you guys to turn it up 2 notches, because you guys have the talent to do it. You know, St. Louis is the soccer capital of the world. All you got to do is go to the St. Louis History Museum, and there's a dedication to that. We got national titles. We got men's and women's people in the Soccer Hall of Fame. I mean, we have done it and proved it for a long time. So I challenge you guys. Let's freaking go. Let's move that ball around. Let's be unselfish. Let's get back on defense. Let's dribble, drive, shoot, and score! Let's get after Kansas City. Let's get this season started. The preseason, all the stuff we've been through behind us. And we don't look behind us, we look forward. And when Kansas City comes in here, it's time to cross the line and become a force, because that's what St. Louis soccer is all about. God love you guys. Let's freaking go, man. Look around the room, rely on each other, push each other, challenge each other, and go pound a rock. Let's get this one.
That guy's been on an absolute heater when it comes to St. Louis sports. If you saw him, it started with the unboxing or opening of the box of the Blues, and then ultimately came to St. Louis, met with the Cardinals, and now they are on an 8-game win streak. So something that we could hopefully, knock on wood, take a little ride on as well, because we're going to need it. I would say the Sporting Kansas City team is not performing very well this season, but looking at our past meetings running through this 2023, we had 2 wins and 1 loss against them in the regular season, with an aggregate of a 9-3 for us, absolutely blowing them out of the water. However, they got the best of us in the playoffs. We lost both games, 1-4 and 1-2. And so an aggregate score of 62 there. 2024, we had 2 wins and 2 draws against them. 2 draws and a win against them. Our win was at home, a 3-1 dub, and then both of our draws, a 3-3 draw and a 1-1 draw away. So that's an aggregate score of 7-5. And then earlier this season, you guys all remember, went over to Kansas City, had a pretty poor showing, and we lost 2-0. So bringing that all in, we were overall against Sporting Kansas City 3 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws, with an aggregate score of 18-18. So tied there. We, unfortunately, our home loss in 2023 and the playoffs was the only home loss against all 9 matches against Kansas City. They have not lost in any of their home matches against us. So now where are they sitting outside of just playing against us in 2025? They're currently in 12th in the Western Conference on 10 points. They have a 3-8-1 win-loss draw, 17 goals for, 22 against, with a goal differential of -5. The biggest stat about all of this is that their away record is 1 win and 5 losses. So that's something that's huge for us coming into Wednesday night's match. And I would love for us to absolutely pack the stands, because I think this is a team that is definitely beatable for us. If you look at what they've done on some of their biggest results, I'll start with the Champions Cup. They had a first-round exit against Miami, losing 1-0 at home and then 3-1 on the road. But then in the regular season, they have drawn versus Minnesota, who is second in the West. They had a 3-3 draw there. They went to San Jose and won 5-3 in mid-April. That's their only away win. And then one of their more recent games, if you guys didn't see it in the news, they won 1-0 against the LA Galaxy on an old goal by LA's Yoshida. That made Sporting Kansas City become the first team in MLS history to win a game without attempting a single shot in the game. So just an absolute steal by them. And then this past weekend, they went to Portland and lost 1-0, who is third in the West. So this is a team that's kind of been limping along like us. And I would say they definitely had a lot of outgoing players when you look at that. And it's probably a reason why, and their new coach had to come in as well. But they got rid of Alan Pulido to Chivas, Johnny Russell. He left the club, and then Tim Melia as well did not resign at 38 years old. But what are we looking like on this new team and this new club that they're playing with and their style? They're a very high-tempo offense. Sporting Kansas City emphasizes progressive play, ranking 4th in the MLS for progressive passes and number 1 in progressive carries. They're also number 2 in long passes, which is anything over 30 yards. They also like to use the width of the field. We've seen that all the time with Mr. Alan Pulido before he left, and now looking at it with Daniel Shalhoub. So looking at that, they would do wide plays and switches, leads the MLS in switches, passes over 40 yards across the pitch. And the team utilizes the width to stretch defenses and create space. So this is one that I think is going to be a little bit troublesome for us when we talk about how we have our 3 center backs and then we have our 2 out wide. There's going to need to be a lot of communication that's going on as we're starting to switch this, making sure that people are tracking their runners, not getting lost there. And I think hopefully that's somewhere that we have not seen a lot of from Mr. Big Ben Lunt that we will see out of Roman Berkey on Wednesday. Their defensive concerns, though, their back line has just been a persistent issue for them, with the team conceding multiple goals early in the season. This is probably due to a lot of their integration of new defenders like Leonson Miller. And so a guy like that is trying to come in and try to fix this. But ultimately, I think it takes some time to have some chemistry with these guys. So and as a goalkeeper, they have the 3rd lowest save rate in the MLS. So looking more at their offensive side, They're 17th in XG, which actually isn't solid or isn't that bad when you think about it out of the teams in MLS and then being so low in the totem pole. But they are below average XG against, with the 5th worst points per match so far as well. And then so looking into this, who are going to be the key players for them? You have Jovic, their striker and DP, who has 5 goals and 1 assist, starting 11 of his 12 games played so far for them. He leads the team in XG of 4.65. You have Daniel Shalhoub, the left winger. He has 4 goals and 2 assists, playing in all but 38 minutes in the club's last 7 games. And he also ripped off 6 shots last week against Portland, so he's coming in on a hot streak. And then you have Manu Garcia. He has 1 goal and 4 assists, leading all field players in minutes played. He also has only been off the pitch for 54 minutes in their first 12 games so far this season. And then when looking at injuries, there's no one really notable for them at this point. I would say Ndembe is the only one. He was out with an adductor this past weekend. Everybody else was kind of questionable and honestly not getting a whole lot of minutes. So as we talk about that, and we've covered enough about Sporting Kansas City, I'm going to bring us into our Hoffman brothers starting 11. And this is the favorite part of the show, especially now that we're going to have Mr. Roman back, Mr. Roman Berkey back on Wednesday. Then I'm going to bring us across the back line, including our left wing back, Wallum, then going with Horn, Baumgartel, Hebert, and then Watts as our right wing back. Unfortunately, we are still uncertain about Leuven's whereabouts and how that's going to be going. So I still would like to just shove him in there for the starting 11 now, because I do think that if he is available, he will be playing. So just hoping for the best for him and his family. So I'll put Ostrak and Leuven in front of our back 5. And then I'm going to go with the same trio that we had in last game, with the Klaus all the way up top with Hartel and Toyshirt underneath. I think this is one that, unfortunately, it's got to be one that we got to continue to ride and try to get numbers out of these guys, because I don't see we need Hartel on the field, and same with Klaus. And I don't see Toyshirt being a guy that comes in as a sub in the 60th minute, making a whole lot of energy for us. I think that's where you plug in that Xander, or you want to plug in Celio, or you want to plug in Simon Betcher. I think those guys are your Energizer Bunny that can come in and ultimately try to make a spark for us. So goals for the game, I'll go through mine and then I'll recap on Jake's as well. My goal for this one is just to come out firing and show some fight and grit. I think that's something that we have yet to see out of this team on a consistent basis. And they all know what this rivalry means. We've seen it before. I would like to see people throwing bodies around, not getting stupid yellows or stupid reds in this game, but ultimately showing that this is our house and this is something that we need to protect. We need to win in the trenches in this one. I think we need to show some Tim Parker energy, show some Chris Durkin tackles, show Kansas City that they cannot come in here and just win this game. And I think it would be a great turnaround for us if we could do that. So my prediction in this game is a 2-1 dub. The reason that I'm only going with that low is, 1, we've obviously been struggling to score. And then 2, Kansas City's only given up 1 goal in their last 2 games. I think this is a team that, yes, they were a little bit shaky on defense, but obviously they're going to kind of feel this rivalry as much as we are right now. So I think they're ready for the test. But I think we come out of here with a 2-1 dub. Jake's goal for the game is compared to the last match. I think this is one where he's looking for us to take the next step up, build upon what we saw in the goals that we scored in Omaha. I think we had some good pressure and some good tactics at the beginning of last game. If we put one away before they do, the game could be completely different against San Diego. And he's going with a 3-1 dub. I don't remember the last time. I think obviously the last time we scored 3 goals this season was against the LA Galaxy, who are now just the laughingstock of the MLS. But it's something that we would like to also try to do to Mr. Sporting Kansas City. So with that being said, we're also going to be putting together our underdog card for this game. So if anybody hasn't already, download Underdog, use code BALLWATCHING to get up to $1,000 in free credits when you sign up. That is the place to play if you are looking to cash in on all of your favorite athletes' stats and their performances in these games. It's going to be a fun one. I'm going to say I really wish that we didn't, 1, have a Wednesday night game for our only home game against Kansas City, and 2, I wish it wasn't this early in the season, kind of like how the Cardinals always used to end up with the Cubs at the end of the season last couple of weeks. Just adds a little bit more spice to that. But I'm not scared about St. Louis showing out for this one. I think we're going to have some beautiful weather on Wednesday, and people are going to be ready to try to turn this ship around, and they're going to need us there. So appreciate everybody joining in. I know this was a little bit of a quicker one for us, but we could not be more excited for this match. And if you guys are down there, please come say hi to us at the pitch. We'll be doing our usual giveaway where if you come up to us and say, I love the pitch, we'll give you a free beer right on the spot. We'll be there before the game and getting ready and getting riled up with everybody. We're going to try to see if we can put that Gruden video up on the TVs. So get down to the pitch if you haven't already, and please come say hi to us. So appreciate everybody for joining, and all for City.